Can you hear me now? Answer yes or no. I tapped up here on that little thing, so maybe you can hear me now. This is crazy. Well, I'm just having a great time. I'm in the studio at James's house. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's coming in. All right. So I'm going to catch up and tell y'all what's been happening today. Oh, I tell you what. I came home. See these flaps? I just grabbed James. I came home. We came over here, and I had lunch. We had company, because my granddaughter Melissa and her boyfriend came came by my house. Now I got to take his shirt off and put it back on the right way. Kiddos, I don't know if Grandma can do this or not, but I do have a sense of humor, so I'm laughing because I grabbed this shirt. I took a nap. We had such a busy morning that I've been thinking serious thoughts, which are, well, I'm glad my pearls look good. My earrings are in the living room. I took them off when I came home, so I laid down to take a nap. And all of a sudden, it was 3:18, and James was standing at the door, and he said, Claire, are you supposed to make a video at 3:30? I said, yeah. He said, well, did you know it's 20 minutes after? I said, nope, I didn't know that. So I jumped up, grabbed my shirt, combed my hair, and here I am. And my kids are talking. But Melissa and her boyfriend came by, and his name is Luther. Okay. So anyway, their furnace is out, and they needed 3 heaters to keep their bedrooms warm. It's going to get down 28 degrees. Last night, we was under, thank you so much, Pamela. Hello, Pamela. Things are going to work out. They always do somehow or other. Did you get the results on your PET scan yet? See, I'm real nibby, but you let me know. Anyway, I got this scarf that matches my flower in my hair that I was going to wear. And there it goes. There, that don't look too bad. The storms was real bad. So James said, here we have a basement, which is wonderful. So we packed up, the stuff that we would need downstairs. I'm trying to talk louder today. I don't have my hearing aids on because somebody said, and I listened to it later, and it was kind of quiet. I mean, you have to read. I told her an idea is if you can't hear me, read the closed captioning, because you can turn your closed captioning on. Well, hello, love to you, Darien, Illinois. I didn't catch that name, but hello to you. So, we went downstairs, and now my brother Dennis gave us a queen-size bed. Well, pretty well gave us, we think we paid him $50, but it's brand new. They didn't like it much. They got them a king size. And this is a queen. Wow, from the UK. Isn't that amazing? The UK is England. I'm smart enough to know that. From where? From Pasadena, California. I lived in California for 4 years. And it would sometimes be 10 o'clock before the air, so you could see anything because the sun didn't shine sometimes. Smog or something. So I'm here in my studio at James's house, and he's in there taking a nap in the bedroom. And that's where I was, and I just kept on sleeping, and I just felt so good when I get up. But I've been thinking, kiddos, I'm not going to be able, and I've made my mind up, and I've thought about it, at 3:30 every day. By 3:30, I am done. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go live just whenever I feel like it. I I don't like this having to to show up a certain time, clock in. I did that for years. That's an idea. Well, the weekends would be good. You know, everybody's off, and Saturday or Sunday. Saturday would be a good day, and Sunday would be a good day, and I feel like doing it earlier in the day. By 2 o'clock in the evening, I want a nap, and that's what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about it, and I love going live, but I don't want to be on a schedule. No way, Jose. All right, we lived in Pasadena. We lived in Long Beach. Uh, was that in California? I'm still half asleep, I think. Oh, thank you, Pamela and Dinah. Yes, I do want to keep it fun, and it's been fun so far, really and truly. And I tell you what, I had some coffee left, and it tastes good. I'll drink it sometimes of the evening, uh, just whatever. If I had some left from this morning, and I do have a verse for today. Anyway, it says, and with the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof ye shall have peace. Jeremiah 29:7. And that's for protection over America. We pray for peace for America. I tell you what, I cannot believe that U.S. citizens, Americans, are destroying cars and people. I mean, that's not Elon. Well, that's not the trillionaire's fault. He's got those cars, and people are showing such hatred. And we need to pray for peace for our country. Let me. So, and seek the peace of the city, whether I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof ye shall have peace. We need to have peace in America and not do that kind of stuff. So, Lord God, help America to cut that out and people not tear up. I mean, I saw one guy, he had bought one of those cars, and they cost a lot, and he destroyed it right there in front of everybody. I mean, thousands of dollars. He had an axe, a pickaxe, and I don't know what all, and he was just chopping it up. One of those expensive cars, so beautiful. I don't want one. I researched it. I don't want any. Oh my, I'm relaxing now. I am going to be like my dear, sweet Granny Pat. She is so smooth. She is so smooth. I just love her. Let's see. Yes, we need to pray for peace. Yes, I'm glad the sheriff is back too. And I'm glad President Trump is back. Melissa and her boyfriend came over to see me because they needed 3 heaters. Their furnace was out. And she bought a house in Corden, and Melissa's my favorite granddaughter. She's the one that drives the 18-wheeler. And somebody ran her off the road last week, but she's okay. But we have electric heaters. I have a couple extra, and James had one. And so they came over to get him. And I've only seen him a few times, and he's a big guy, about 6'2", and probably weighs 250. And he stepped in my back door, and I looked up at him, and before Melissa came in, because my door's open, because James in and out over at my house, and I said, "Who are you?" I wasn't afraid, but who are you? And then Melissa came in behind him. So anyhow, so that's going to work out. They're getting their furnace put in, but they won't get it in till Tuesday. But he knows some people that's honest and won't rip them off. Is going to put. There are so many ripping off. You know, Granny Pat was telling about she had a guy work on her mechanic work on her car, and it was going to run her big bucks. And finally, a friend of hers said, "Well, and so I mean, after they got it running, and it was running, but not real good, they said, well, we've got to do hundreds of more dollars worth of work on it or something. And so her friend said, if your car's still running, bring it to me. We'll take it to my mechanic. And they did. They took it to her mechanic. If I've got this wrong, Pat, you correct me. But I'm pretty sure this is right. They went to his mechanic, and it needed, for the car, all it needed was a fuse that was making that car do bad, and it run her $50 instead of all that hundreds of dollars that those people were trying to rip. See, people don't have respect for senior citizens. They think they're just a dumb little old woman. You just pay it. I've got a mechanic that I've known at my place where I live. He's catty-cornered across from me, and he's really good. And I've known him. What's going on? No, I don't want no one in Oklahoma, but I don't want here. Yeah, I'm a morning person. We get up at 4 o'clock, and then I go back till, you know what, I get up at 4 o'clock, but I'm going to tell you about this mechanic. So she got a mechanic to do that, and mine is, I've known him, his daddy was there, and his daddy was my mechanic before. It was David, then Senior David, and Junior David. So anyhow, they called the older one, they called him Whiff, and Whiff has passed away, but he was my mechanic for years. And then David learned the business, and he is the best mechanic, and he's honest, and he takes care of my cars. Now, the Senior David, before he passed, he took care of Buddy's vehicles and mine, and he's reasonable. He does it right. He's not a cheat. And so, one time, Buddy and I had donut route trucks. We had trucks. Buddy had a big walk-in. You know, a big white truck with shelves. You get donuts, and he did to put the donuts on, and he had routes, and he was making big money, and we had 2 other trucks on the road. Well, one time, that big old walk-in van, you've seen them, you can walk around in them, needed some work on it, some tires or something, I don't know. So we took it over to David. It's not too far away, within walking distance. And after a while, David called, Senior, and said, come look at this. And so me and Buddy went over to look, and there lay that big old truck on its side. They had put it up on the rack, and he had a helper, and it fell off the rack, and there it lay on its side. We couldn't believe it. True story. So David said, it didn't hurt anybody, and the transmission I know will have to be replaced or something. He said, but I got insurance. And so we used our other 2 or 3 trucks that we had on the road at that time, and he fixed our big old truck. But talking about California, I had good times in California and bad times in California, because that's where the twins were born. And they're going to be 71 years old in May. That does not seem possible that I am the mother of 70-year-old women. And Kimberly, I gave her my watch, but she hasn't got it working yet. But my new one is doing real good. I like it. And it's 3:44. When you're having a good time, it gets away from you, don't it? I was going to show some pictures of when I was younger, and that didn't work out. Sometimes, well, thank you so much. It's good to have a good mechanic, and we still have David. But David, now, the son, I tell you what, I have had 3 husbands. So first David, Senior, the father, took care of all Buddies in my vehicles. And they were good friends. And then when I married Floyd, number 2 husband, he was not outgoing, and he had a mechanic out in the country that he really liked, and so he would go out there. And so him and David didn't make friends at all. But I still took my car to him, because I've always had cars on my own. When I married James, I had 2 cars. A lot of times I've had 2 cars. I just do that kind of stuff. And so now, number 3 husband. So he had a mechanic. James had a mechanic he thought he liked real well. And so he had a van that the mechanic just couldn't get it fixed. And James would take it back in and he'd do something else on the same thing. I mean, he just, and he says, it's probably the brain, is this, that, or the other. And I said, James, why don't you take it to my mechanic? Your mechanic's just fooling around and charging you more money all the time. And I believe he's a crook. I said, I believe you need to go to David. He said, well, I'm about to give up, so I'll take it. So he took it over to David, and my mechanic fixed it. Didn't hardly cost him anything. That other guy was just making money on James. So from then on, and they made friends, and now James just goes to visit him sometimes, just to visit with him, because they hit it off like a ton of bricks. He likes him as good as he liked Buddy. And that's a blessing to have a good mechanic. Now, I had a brother that lived in Oklahoma, and we used to go to Oklahoma. When Buddy was on the evangelistic field, and we was cutting records, when you talk about cutting records, you know, you make albums, big albums, and you make cassette tapes. We went all the way to Oklahoma City because Buddy sang with background tapes, and that's where they made them. And they had a studio out there, and it was reasonable. So we would travel to Oklahoma City, and we just enjoyed it. That's where ORU is, I think, Oral Roberts University. A lot of things is out there in Oklahoma. But we went to Oklahoma and held revivals, and that's in March. Well, see, we was under a tornado watch last night. That's why we was in the basement. But at 10:30, and it was thundering and lightning and carrying on. But I came upstairs and went to bed, and I went to sleep, and I said, Lord, you're in charge. I got to get some sleep. I couldn't get no sleep in that little old bed, because queen size, because James is a big guy. He's 6'3", and he took up most of that bed. And I tell you what, I didn't have no more than a foot and a half, and that ain't enough. Now, Big Tom is right over here beside me in a chair asleep. We go over to my house, and it's catless. Now, he's right here. Let me see if you can see him. See him right there? Hey, Big Tom. There he is. So now I probably won't get this thing set up again anymore. I tell you what. I have ordered me a thing. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm still here. Can you hear me? I don't know. I just messed up. I dropped my iPad. I don't. Are we done? Are y'all still there? Are y'all still there? I'm trying to switch it around. I dropped the iPad. See what I mean? I am not an afternoon person. Oh, my heavens to Betsy. That's another thing we used to say. And I can't help but laugh because, you know, y'all didn't need to see Big Tom anyway. That's life. We just go on and do the best we can with what we got. Yes, I am back. Thank you, Jesus. Hello, everybody. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Now, what was we talking about? Oh, that little old bed downstairs. So I came back up and I went to bed and I got some sleep. Good night, Ethel. Well, we used to say good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. And we had bed bugs. We got bed bugs up in our beautiful home we lived up in Floyd Knobs, which is a very prestigious place to live, which I couldn't have cared less because it was 4 miles out of town, and I'm a town girl. That's a pretty scene, ain't it? And I like living in town. I like to be close to the Walmart and Aldi's and all that kind of stuff. But we got bed bugs in that house, and we only in the bedroom. And when I was getting bit all the time, and I thought it was mosquitoes. And so I bought all kinds of mosquito things. And I've told this before, and some of you probably saw it. So I would get bit at night, and I was sure it was mosquitoes because I would get welts just like mosquito bites. And they would itch, and I would just practically cry. And sometimes I'd make James take me on down to my house where there wasn't any mosquitoes. And how we discovered that it was bed bugs biting me. They don't bite James. Mosquitoes, bed bugs do not bite James Blair. How big is a bed bug? Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. How big is a bed bug? Well, they're very small. I would say about the size, if your fingernail there, about as big as the white of your fingernail. Very small. But they're black. Yeah, about the size of a tick. That's right. And they're reddish looking. So, you know what we did? Being I was sure we had mosquitoes, I went on Amazon and I ordered some of these tents that go on the bed so that they couldn't get through, so the mosquitoes couldn't get through. And I was still getting bit. I said, these things don't work. That don't keep the mosquitoes off of me. They're still biting me. He said, well, they're not biting me. And they weren't biting him, but they were biting me. How we discovered it was, so I was there sleeping, and I woke up, and we got up, and and I saw something black crawling. It looked black in the light that we had, climbing up the wall. Now, when we was kids, we had bed bugs one time. When I was about 12 years old, Daddy bought bed bugs in on a mattress he bought at a auction. And Mom, when she discovered we had bed bugs, and she discovered right away, she took the mattress outside, and I don't know about bed bugs, about having a blood type, and I know they love me and they don't love James. And so she'd take it outside, and she took kerosene and went all over where the creases are. They hide in the creases of the bed bug. And so when that one was going up the wall, I got out of the bed and I said, that's a bed bug. And I got out of the bed and I lifted up the corner of, you know how they have seams along it? And there was bed bugs everywhere. It was gross. And I said, well, next morning we did get up, and James carried that mattress outside, got rid of it, and then we still had to fight them because they hide in the walls, but we use that diatomaceous earth. We had carpet. They'd get in your carpet. See, they go hide after they get done. They go get someplace else. And we only had them in the bedroom, thank goodness. We didn't have them over the rest of our house, only the bedroom. But it took a long time. But we finally, and we sprayed, and then we had peace. Yes, diatomaceous earth, it really works. And it really works. And so we put that down. And I tell you what, I don't want to ever get no more bed bugs. But at that time, and that's been 3 or 4 years ago, in the projects, houses, public housing, they were everywhere. And so they were having a meeting in New Albany about how to fight bed bugs because they were just taking over the town of New Albany at that time. So James and I went to that meeting, and the head of all the housing in New Albany was there. And he told us that that's where we learned about the diatomaceous earth. They told us what to do. And we didn't know till then because we had sprayed, and sprayed did not get rid of them. So we called him Bedbug Bob. They were fighting it. We had in New Albany, they have now demolished it. They built it in about 1963. It was 20 stories for senior citizens. And he said they were through that place so bad, and they would go from apartment, the bed bugs would go from apartment to apartment through the electrical circuits, and it was just everywhere. And also in the public housing were the two and three and four bedroom or three bedrooms or whatever. You know, a lot of them were two-bedroom public housing, which I used to live in. When we first came home from California, we lived in public housing, and I hated it. We had a two-bedroom because we just had a couple little kids then, and just the twins. And so I tell you what, my daddy had made me a couple of quilts because when I was in California, Grandma was on Queen for a Day, and I came in second. You write what you want. And my dad had TB, and he was invalid, and he was at home all the time and spent a lot of time in bed. But he had no sewing machine, and I told him that my daddy needed a sewing machine. And you know what? Being as I was second runner-up, they sent him a Pfaff sewing machine. And that is one of the best sewing machines you can buy. I think they still make them. And he made me some quilts. He pieced the tops together, and I put them out on the line. I washed them and put them out on the line, and somebody stole them when I wasn't looking. And I told my husband, Buddy, I said, I'm moving out of this place. I know I got hot water, and I got a bathroom and all that, but rent me someplace else. Yes, I am careful about bed bugs. Thank you. We are very careful. We don't know how. We figured that's the way we got them on Old Hill Road, was bringing in something, something from, because James is always picking up stuff like that from these different places, yard sales and Goodwill and Salvation Army and thrift stores, and you can get bed bugs. Fact is, James had a rental house not too far from where we live, and they got bed bugs. And she said they went on a weekend trip, and she knows they got them at the hotel they stayed at when they was having their trip. I've learned that. I don't buy too much anymore, except those blouses, and of course you wash everything. If you can't do anything else, throw them in the dryer. I found out that you can throw them in the dryer and leave them 30 minutes if they look clean, and that disinfects them also. But when we had the bed bugs, I was washing things. Man, I tell you what, it was a mess. It was a battle. My kids are talking. Take that off. Bedbug Bob, yes. Bedbug Bob told us, he said, he scared us all to death. He says, you can go where they are, and they can get on your shoes, and you can carry them home and not know it. But in New Albany, they just swept through the town. But I haven't heard anything more about them for the last couple of years, so anything about them being in the projects, because they put it in the paper, and they put it on the news. They were just awful in all the public housing in New Albany. Well, I tell you what, gang, I'm just going to do like what I said. I'm going to go live when I feel like it, when I can get it figured out. And I've got it figured out now how to do it horizontal and everything. And so it's not going to be a problem. And I'll do it when I feel like it. Now, Mrs. Peach, Thrifty Living, she said, it'll all work out. She commented, she says, and she does it when she feels like it. I will surprise you. I'll surprise myself. How's that? Because, it's nice to just do things spur of the moment. Buddy and I used to when we was married, and before we went on the evangelistic field, and the kids were grown, and, when we went on the evangelistic field, he was 48 and I was 46. So we would, on a weekend, on Friday night, he finally got him a job at GE, which was good, because then we had some time together. He'd say, let's go to Gatlinburg. Let's go to the Smokies. And we'd just take off, and it was just so much fun, doing things spur of the moment. And James is like that. And we did that a lot. And then he bought a motor home. And we went to a lot of bluegrass festivals, and that thing was nice. It had a big bed in it, big enough for two people, and air conditioning. generator, and we used that for 10 years, James and I did. And do you know, it was beautiful. And see, I had a motorhome when I married him, and 24 foot, and I could drive it. And I used to drive it to Florida, me and Floyd. And then when Floyd passed away, I still had it, and I gave it to my son. But my son gave it back to me because they didn't enjoy going camping. I got it back. So I sold mine, and James bought a bigger one. And it was nice. But after we used it about 10 years, the motor, he parked it, and then the spring we couldn't get it started again. I mean, we did everything. James had a mechanic come, and finally this last mechanic, which was a good guy, said, I'm sorry to tell you, but this motor is froze up, and when one of these S10 motors freeze up, they're gone. You could put another motor in it. So what did he do? He gave it to the Goodwill. We cleaned it up inside and out, and they came and towed it away. And we haven't got one since, but you know he's looking for one now. For just a small, maybe a 24 foot, one that's not too expensive. And so that, I tell you what, I got spoiled. When you have a motorhome, you can be going down the road, you can pull over, you can take a nap, you can fix a meal. I was spoiled because me and Buddy had one for years before he passed away, and that's what we used to go on the evangelistic field. But it was like living in prison. And I did go with him. I wasn't going to, but he said, I'll come on and see what the Lord will do. And we traveled 14 years till God called him home. Well, children, and I can call you all children, isn't that something? God is so good to us. We are so blessed, and we are to be living in America. I hope and pray, and I know y'all are too, that Ukraine and Russia will quit killing them boys, because Trump, we don't have any soldiers in that, and I heard this today. Trump cares about life and about these young men that are dying in Russia, and so many wasted lives. It's just really, really sad, and he cares, and I care too. I mean, what if that's your son? I mean, they're just mothers and wives, and just like we are, and sisters to those men that are dying, and I pray that it will stop. Please, dear Lord, let that stop. Amen. And maybe it will, and we'll get to see it. I'm going to make confession. When Trump was not elected and Biden was elected, I asked the Lord if I could live to see Trump be president again, because I thought he should be president again. I really thought that something was really wrong that he did not get it, but he didn't. And so we just made the best of it. I mean, I didn't get Biden syndrome and go around crying, carrying on like an idiot. Life is what you just have to get through, kiddos. You know, so now there's so many people that are so sad because Trump is in and doing good things. What is he doing bad? I don't know. Me and Melissa and her boyfriend. Yes, I believe God did save Trump, and he may not be as devout a Christian as some of us are, but I believe he certainly knows God, and God knows his heart. He knows his heart, and he's not a crook, you know. I don't think so. He's got so much money, he don't need to steal our money. He was given, here I go again. I was watching that woman, that comes on before Hannity, and her name escaped me, but I watch her all the time. And he was giving her a tour. Who was that? Laura Ingraham, right? Is that her name? So he was giving her a tour through the Oval Office. And he has bought things from Mar-a-Lago, his Florida home, to put in the office. And he bought some angels that are cherubs that are gold. And he said, they have tried, I don't know what was said, but let me see. All right, good. I know this. Anyhow, these cherubs he brought them from his home in Florida, and he's got them up there. And he said, "I've got these angels here, and they're real gold because you can't. There's no paint that will stay gold that they've invented yet. It has to be real gold. So these angels," and he said, "I feel like that they are good luck, that you're blessed, to have these angels up there." And you can watch that tour on YouTube of him showing Laura Ingraham through the Oval Office, and he bought back, and they have a storage place up there. He bought back president's pictures, and he bought back the original Constitution of the United States of America, and it's a big thing. And they said, now this cannot hang on the wall in the sun. It's got to have. So they put a black curtain across it to protect it from light because it will fade away. The Constitution of the United States that we should go by, and it's fair and it's square, and people should know what the Constitution really holds. I don't think a lot of people really do. But I don't know what happened to Schumer, but he did the right thing for a time, and now he's being vilified for it, which is terrible. He is a Democrat, of course, and bless his heart, and usually crazy as a bedbug, but oh well. But he didn't vote to shut the country down. And the Democrats, they are in disarray. They don't have a leader. They're lost. They don't know what to do. And we've got a leader. Trump is almost like Big Daddy. Y'all shape up and fly right. I used to be Big Mama at my house. I still am. I'm Big Mama here at James's house. I tell you what, today I had Tammy, my niece, who lives next door. James's niece by marriage, and she's my niece. I claim her, and she's a sweet girl. She came over today and fixed up. I've got another TV in the living room kitchen combination of my apartment, and we don't ever use it. And I had wires and a fire stick and everything, and none of it was working right, and it just needed overhauling. And I called her up to come over and help me straighten it out, and she did a fantastic job. It is so good to have good help, ain't it, kids? And so Tammy came over and straightened it all out. She works at the Walmart, and I like to go to the Walmart. This blue looks good today. I'm calmed down now since I overslept. I'm not doing that anymore. I hope you all know that I really usually do better than that. And I thought I'd just as soon go back to talking to y'all in the morning like I always do and just make a video and I love you and say bye-bye like this. And we are people and creatures of habit. And my habit that I've been doing for over a year now is just do it of the morning. And so I'll do this live whenever I feel like it. And I don't remember how to hang this up, but I think I hit the X. So I'm going to tell y'all, God bless you. Walk that walk where Jesus would be pleased with you. And bye-bye. I'm going to hit this X up here. And I'm going to close. And I'm going to stop streaming. Bye-bye.